Welcome to the Grassroots Army podcast. This platform is for common sense people looking for up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information without the hot garbage corporate media bias. The power of one can lead to the power of many. You never know what small act that you may say or do that may literally change the lives of millions tomorrow. And don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because you can. Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Welcome to the Grassroots Army's podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Garrett Soldano. And holy cow, do we have a lot to go over here today. We are going to get right into it. We were at the JD Vance rally in Sparta. We are Sparta yesterday in Sparta, Michigan, and it was a great opportunity for us to get our messaging out, which I had the extreme honor of getting on stage and firing up Michigan and America's greatest asset, we the people. And you guys have been following me. That's what I thrive to do, and I love doing it, is inspiring all of you to stay motivated, stay inspired, but most importantly, stay activated. And then JD Vance, our future vice president, God willing, came on stage and gave a phenomenal speech. But what I loved most about yesterday was that he opened it up to the hot garbage corporate media to questions, to unscripted questions. They didn't hand him the questions beforehand. This was live. It wasn't videotaped, so it wasn't edited. It was just raw JD Vance and what him and President Trump stand for and what they're trying to do, which every single American citizen deserves to hear what your candidate plans on doing, what they think on certain policy, what they think on current situation, world policy. It just goes on and on and on. And it was awesome. And he did a phenomenal job. I'm going to share just a couple questions. You can look up the entire speech that he gave yesterday on YouTube. Just type in JD Vance Sparta and it will come up on all the news networks. But he got a hot garbage question from, I think, Fox. And I will call that person once I hear his name again. Hot garbage. About basically saying, hey, you know, Walt's had a speech in Grand Rapids in a museum and yours is in a barn. What a smack in the face to us country folk. Tell me you're an elitist without telling me you're elitist. That is the whole Democrat platform. Do as I say, not as I do. Rules for thee, not for me. We've seen it time and time again in the state of Michigan with our nanny governor, who flew down secretly to see her dad when she was shutting us all down and telling us we couldn't see our grandparents and our loved ones in the nursing home facilities, but she snuck down and saw her dad. It just, again, the question was garbage, but he handled it perfectly. He truly did. So let's get right into the footage. I'm going to show you my speech, and JD Vance actually gave the Grassroots Army a shout out, which is fantastic. And then we're getting right into the questions that JD Vance, or a few questions that he asked, was asked and answered. And then we're going to talk about a couple of events that are coming down the pipe. Okay, so here we go. Here is the speech that I gave yesterday. Enjoy the energy, because you guys know I'm pretty passionate.
Garrett Soldano.
Good afternoon, my fellow Michiganders. Good afternoon, my fellow Americans. My name is Garrett Soldano, and it is very great that all of you are here today. Because when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. And we have been experiencing a lot of tyranny over the past 5 years, haven't we? With the unconstitutional lockdowns, with the mandates, with the indoctrination of our kids and canceling our kids' experiences, diminishing their hopes, diminishing their dreams. The list goes on and on, allowing the invasion of our southern border with over 10 million illegal immigrants that we know about into our country, creating crime and chaos. Unfortunately, they are just like our nanny governor here in the state of Michigan. They are the gift that keeps on giving. And that's why it's so important that you are here today. because a lot of you here in this room, you have been with me, standing beside me as we fought back over the past 5 years And I know that you're tired. And I know that you're frustrated. And I know that you're angry. So am I. But who here is sick and tired of the Democrats and their lies? Say aye. Who here is sick and tired of the corporate media as they run with their lies? Say aye. And who here is sick and tired of the social media minions gushing over these lies? Say aye. Because the solutions and the power always has to come from who? We the people. Who? That is right, and that's why it's so important that you stay inspired, you stay motivated, and you stay activated. Because the power comes from you. And I've taught this over the past 5 years, and you have proved this to me, that the power comes from the people, and the power of one can always lead to the power of many. So don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because you can, and I'm going to prove it right now. In 2016, President Trump won the state of Michigan by 10,704 votes against crooked Hillary, didn't he? And if this race was that close again, that means if 20 people out of each of our 83 counties, talk and swayed 7 other people who were on the fence about President Trump, they would win that election. And we found out that over 200,000 Republicans stayed home in 2020. So if we activate them, if we tell them to show up and vote, whether it do in mail, in person, whatever that may be, we overwhelm the system. We make it too big to rig. And you never know what small act that you may say or do. It may be a conversation, it may be a door knock, it may be a phone call that may change literally the lives of billions tomorrow. You are that powerful, so you have to continue to hammer down. We have 49 days left. We are in the 4th quarter, and we can feel it in our heart, into our very souls, that this is it. This will be our finest hour, and you can feel amazed. And you will feel unbelievable when we win this thing, and you will lay down your head every single night that you knew and you were in this fight, and your kids and your grandchildren will remember that you were part of the solution, and we took America back, and we made America great again. God bless you.
I want to call out the founder of the Grassroots Army, Garrett Soldano. Garrett, thank you so much for everything you're doing, man. Could not do this without every single person in this room, especially Garrett's hard work, because, again, we have got the media that does not want to tell the truth about this race and doesn't want to tell the truth about Kamala Harris, but we have got people power on the side of Donald J. Trump, and that's going to carry the day on November the 5th.
17. Each one of the candidates at the top of the 2 tickets have made their way to West Michigan. We're going to see you all likely again before the election. Having talked to people at both of these rallies, I'm wondering, do you gauge support based on these competing rallies in this area? And do you see a disconnect as the candidate between supporters who would go to a Tim Walz rally at a museum in downtown Grand Rapids versus supporters here at a rally for you in a barn in rural Sparta?
Well, no, I don't see a disconnect. I think there's nothing wrong with having a rally in a barn, right? But look, there's nothing wrong with having a rally in a museum. And if you look at what we've been doing, I've been to downtown Grand Rapids, I think twice now in this campaign, just in the last few weeks. And we've been in rural parts of Michigan. We've been in urban parts of Michigan, suburban parts. We're going to go everywhere because I think you ought to try to earn every person's vote. And that's how Donald Trump and I think about this race. Thank you all. Next question. Sir.
Good afternoon, Senator Vance. Arpan Lobo with the Detroit Free Press. You mentioned about the need for border security. States that have lost population or experienced slow population growth, like Michigan, have turned to immigrants in a way to kind of maintain economic competitiveness. I wanted to ask you, is there a plan, if President Trump were to be reelected under your administration, to balance the border security, but also address like economic viability in places like Michigan, which have made efforts to attract legal immigrants to bolster economic competitiveness?
Well, look, I reject the idea. I reject the idea that there is some sort of tension between securing your border and having economic growth. If you look at the history of this country, we had a very, very strong border and a rapidly growing economy. It's only in the last 20, 30 years where American leaders decided we should open the floodgates. And what have we seen over the last 20 to 30 years? Declining standards of living. If the solution to our economic growth problems was to import millions and millions of illegal immigrants, then every country in Europe would be doing a lot better than they are right now. And frankly, the United States would be doing better today than it was 4 years ago. We're doing worse today than 4 years ago because we allowed this flood of migration. Now, the other thing that I think the question betrays a certain misunderstanding on, sir, is look, why have people left Michigan? I talk to this all the time. Two reasons. When I talk to people, you just heard a bunch of people shouted out the answer. It's consistent with everything that I've heard. Why have people left Michigan in the last 15, 20 years? Two things: high taxes and a lack of good jobs. So the idea that the solution to a lack of jobs is to import a lot more people who are going to compete with Michiganders for the jobs that are here. No, create more jobs. That's how you bring people back to Michigan. And most importantly, thank you. I thought that was a pretty good answer. I didn't think it was a very good answer. That was a hell of a response to that one. But one other just point on that question, sir, is look, we in this country have run an experiment of importing millions and millions of people instead of building economic development right here at home. And I think it's a huge mistake, and we've got to go in the other direction. There are a lot, I'm sure, of parents and grandparents in here who love this community, who would like their children to be able to get a good job and start a family in this community, not to have to move either to Detroit or more likely completely outside the state just to have a good opportunity at a good life. The only way to do that is to promote economic development in our rural areas, let our farmers do what they need to do, and build more manufacturing in the United States of America.